Welcome to this Rethé session on the Introduction to the Scientific Research Process. I'm Elaine Nsoesie, a native of Cameroon and a professor at the Boston University School of Public Health. One of my favorite things about research is coming up with research questions and imagining new ways of solving problems. So I'm very excited about this session. Let's get started. A question that I'm often asked by people who are interested in doing research for the first time or people who have been doing research for a while is, how do you come up with a research question? That's a very important part of research. There are many different ways through which you can come up with a research question. But a good place to start is to ask yourself what you're interested in. What exactly do you want to study? Sometimes this can be very broad. For example, you might be interested in studying how diseases spread, but you don't know exactly what diseases you want to study. There are plenty of research papers and books about the spread of diseases. It can be overwhelming to read everything, so it's important to narrow down your interest or question. You can read some papers and books on what research has been conducted on the study of diseases. That could lead you to decide that you want to study the spread of infectious diseases like malaria, or dengue, or chikungunya. These are all diseases that are spread by mosquitoes. The next question you could ask is, what are open areas of research? And a good place to find answers to this question is the limitation section of research papers. So for example, in public health, people would usually talk about the gaps that exist in your research and unanswered questions that are important to explore. So if you've read a good research paper recently and you really enjoyed it, you could go back to that paper and look at what questions the authors answered and what questions is didn't answer. Another place to look are gaps identified in review papers. So review papers usually involve synthesis of many papers on a specific topic and discussion of what the papers did well, what they didn't do well, and major areas needing research in the field or topic. Sometimes organizations working on a particular topic would publish reports that discuss priority questions or problems. You might be thinking, all of this information sounds wonderful, but how do I know what I'm interested in studying? Here are some questions to consider. What keeps you up at night? What would you like to change in the world? What is impacting your family and friends? In my own work, I've found that I tend to be more passionate and more committed when I work on problems that are important to me. There's always a temptation of doing what others are doing, especially if those topics get all the attention. And sometimes one has to make compromises if you need funding or other resources to do your research. That said, it is important to work on problems that are impacting you and your communities. Obviously, you can't solve every problem in the world. So what is that problem that makes you angry? What is that problem that you're most passionate about? What is that problem that truly bothers you? Okay, maybe your life is perfect and you don't have any problems that keep you up at night. Or maybe the problems that bother you are beyond your expertise, and the most you can do is advocate for other people to solve those problems. You can still research questions by looking at what others are studying. What research papers have you read recently? Do you have ideas on how to improve the studies? Do you have a different way of looking at the problem? Have you thought of a potential solution? For example, you might be thinking of a problem that is present in the US and in Nigeria. Even if the problem is the same, it doesn't mean the solutions are going to be the same because the context is different. You want to think about the social, cultural, and economic conditions that are different. So you might be able to develop a solution that is suited to your specific context, a solution that considers the challenges that you experience where you are. Next, we're going to look at examples of research questions. I would like you to find a paper and a pen or a pencil. You can also use a note or writing app on your phone or your computer. You will have a few seconds to think about what makes the following questions good. I said good, not perfect. Let's go. The first question is from a paper that we published in 2023. In this paper, we looked at the relationships between a few things. 1, the racial and ethnic composition of the neighborhood. 2, historical event that has been associated with variations with present-day health outcomes. 3, measures of what is present, for example, quality of houses, whether there are trees in the neighborhood, etc. And we did this for more than 50,000 neighborhoods. These measures were extracted from images of neighborhoods, so we had to come up with a question. Our question was, what is the association of the built environment indicators derived from online street-level images with racial and ethnic composition of neighborhoods? It's a long question. Why is this a good question? First, it mentions the major things that we're interested in studying. Second, it is specific and focused. Third, it talks about what we want to study. So in this case, we are studying the association and not the causal relationship. Let's try another example. This paper is similar to the previous one and was published in 2018. This study was motivated by an interest in seeing how deep learning algorithms for image processing could be useful in public health. There is much research that has shown association between obesity and the built environment, or what people have access to in your neighborhoods. So we wanted to know if deep learning can be used to extract neighborhood information from satellite images to study the association between neighborhood features and health outcomes. We came up with the following question. How can convolutional neural networks assist in the study of the association between the built environment and obesity prevalence? This question is slightly shorter than the previous one, but what makes this a good question? 1, we mentioned the specific method we are studying. 2, we mentioned why we're studying this method. 3, we talk about how we're evaluating the usefulness of the method. I hope these examples help you as you think about your research question. It's important to know that the questions you ask will not always be concise at the beginning. You will have many opportunities to refine your question. Let's talk about how to conduct scientific research. There are 3 major steps. You start with a research question, you develop a hypothesis, you test your hypothesis, but there is a lot more that happens. To design a good research study, you would need to study what has been done on the topic and the methods that others have used. Basically, you need to do a literature review. You will also need data. You might be able to obtain data that others have collected or might need to collect your own data. There are many ethical considerations that are important when embarking on the data collection process. We do not cover that in this session. You will need to choose appropriate methods to analyze your data and interpret your findings. A literature review is important for many reasons. It helps you understand what research has been done on the topic or question that you want to investigate. It can also help in refining your research question. And when conducting a literature review, you have to be critical. Do not accept everything you read as correct. Ask questions as you read. For example, what assumptions are the authors making? This could be assumptions about the data, it could be assumptions about the methods, or assumptions about the populations that they are studying. I've read papers where data was collected in one African country and the same assumptions were applied to another African country. Do you think this matters? Do you think people in different African countries live exactly the same way? Other questions you can ask while reading are about the impact of the research. What could happen if a proposed solution was implemented? Who would be affected? How could they be impacted? You could read about a solution to a problem, but maybe think about another way of approaching the same problem. Related to the previous section, you can ask questions about the study population. Who is included and who is excluded? I would really like to hear about your research questions. What are you currently exploring? Feel free to contact me via email or on social media. Thank you so much for participating in this session. To learn more about Rethé, please visit our website.